Thank you so much, guys, for joining me on today. I have a special message, a special program that we have taped, and I am so excited for my special guest, my friend, my brother, Pastor Javen, all the way from South Florida. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Pastor Calvin, you know, we do this all the time. We talk, we encourage one another, and this is very true. This is not a pastor friendship.
Yes.
This is a brother friendship, and we're always talking about things business-wise, relationship-wise, certainly ministry-wise.
Ministry, yes.
And I think one of the polarizing things that people can't seem to understand, because the subject is motivation tonight, is that people like you and me don't stay motivated all the time.
No, and I think, and it was funny, we had this conversation just the other day about being motivated. And a lot of people will come and say, you know, you encourage me, you uplift me. But if we have to reverse that, how do we get motivated?
Take my glasses off talk for a second. I think the reason why some of us get so unmotivated at the first shaking up of a situation, or the reason why some of us, you know, start off with fire and then Pastor Calvin drop off, is because our intent or our motives were wrong.
It was wrong from the beginning.
And when we did not see certain things happen in our life, we got discouraged and we walked away. I think one of the things that, you know, that always intrigues me about Joseph is that he was the same person in the pit as he was, you know, serving Potiphar's wife, dealing with her, trying to come on to him, and in the servant quarters, which got him, to the king's house. To the king's house. I think if you got it in you, if the motive is right in you from the beginning, all hell could be breaking loose. You're going to stay motivated because you know that you've been called for such a time as this.
Well, you have to stay on course. And those that are watching today, and you're looking at saying, okay, I see what is happening in Pastor Javen's life. Look at what's happening in the Now Church. But what if you had given up?
Yeah.
Prior to the 7 years, what if you had given up in year 1?
Yeah.
What if you had to give it up in year 3? And so now you're seeing the manifestation of you staying on course, staying committed to what God said. Now, we were talking about Abraham, the word was spoken. So the motivation had to come to the point where God spoke a word. You read it in St. John 1:1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So a word was spoken. Leave a country or land that you're familiar with. Everything was going good in California for you. I mean, contacts was there, open doors was there. Leave this land, Pastor Javen, and go to an unfamiliar area to start a church. I mean, the unfamiliar area is, yes, that's your home city where you grew up, but that was not the place where it was familiar, where God is going to use you in this season now. And that's for somebody who's watching tonight, and you're saying, okay, God, you spoke a word to me. How is this thing going to come to pass? But that's the waiting season. And if you're saying that, how can I get motivated? It was the word. If we can hold on to that word, just like that woman in the Bible who says that if I can just touch the hem of his garment. So she had absorbed all of her money. She had exhausted every avenue that was humanly possible for her to be made whole. But she said, if there's a man that's coming, and all I need to do is get close enough to reach out and touch the hem of his garment.
But like the woman with the issue of blood, she begins to press past those discouraging moments, past the arguments, past the husband doing something stupid or the wife saying something degrading, past the child sneaking out again or whatever the case may be. And she continues to press towards the promise. I know that there is wholeness at the touch of Jesus. I know that there's wholeness in the Word of God and in my relationship with the Lord. And I cannot deny the elephant in the room, and that is, you know, the greatest source of motivation is our relationship with Jesus Christ.
But watch this, there's another word in press, in this push, and someone spelled it out this way. Pray until something happens.
Okay.
That is the motivation. I'm going to continue to pray or press until something happens. And that motivation is that God already knows our outcome. He's waiting on us to align our faith to align up to his will. And when our faith aligns up to his will, then the manifestation of what's going to happen takes place.
And by the way, this is not something that's hard. It's not. Sometimes we make
the writer
it so
said the ways
complicated.
of a transgressor is hard. So then we make it hard.
Again?
The ways of a transgressor is hard. So we make it hard by doubting what God said. You read in Joshua 1:8, it says, if thou will meditate on thy word day and night, he says, and then I will make your way prosperous and you shall have good success. People look at success in many different ways. How do we value success? Success is not only with money, success is not only with things, but success is, what is your area of success? Maybe somebody who has a handicap or an issue, and to be able to, they may be bound in a wheelchair and they're just learning how to walk again. To get from this chair to that wall could be a success story for them. Okay? So let's look at and what motivates you. What drives you in order to get to that end goal? That's the key tonight. Is what's driving you in order to get to that end goal? Is it just to be seen? Is it just to be popular? Is it just to say, I got something? But then, I mean, we can look at this, Pastor Javen, even in ministry. The goal of opening a church was just not to say that I'm a pastor or I have a ministry or I'm ministering to several thousand people a day. But it's to saying, who can we help in what we do?
That can't be a motivation. I'll go a step further. If what is motivating you is a temporal thing, like goals, and there's nothing wrong with goals, by the way. You know, we certainly want to see a certain number of people in church at some point, certain level of resources that we have in our bank accounts and that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that is your source of motivation, you're going to be unmotivated probably 90% of the time because you're never going to have enough money. You know, things are never going to turn out completely. I don't know nobody that had a wedding that completely went the way they thought.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Right?
It ain't happening.
It don't happen. That's why I say it's not a hard thing, because Jesus in essence is saying that, you know, faith is not hard. He's saying to the disciples at this time in their constant battle with this faith thing, he wasn't saying that you have to have faith that's small in order to move a mountain. He was actually making the analogy that you don't even have that. Because if y'all would have had at least that, there's mountains that you can get out of your way. So God is saying to you, just nudge your faith.
Javen, I call that the waiting season.
The hallway. The hallway between the two doors.
Like, you know, I can see it on the other end, but how do I get there? Because this journey seems very long.
Maybe sometimes your frustration needs to motivate you to action, but to positive production. And that's a word for somebody. Don't let your frustration or your agitation motivate you. The Bible says, get angry, but sin not.
Well, you look at it that God gave, and we talked about this the other day, when you read, there's Joshua and there's Caleb. Okay, and then there's 10 other spies. That went in to see a land that God had promised them.
And spread the rumor. And got everybody else negative.
And got them all negative. So sometimes in life, you can surround yourself around people who will cause you to miss your blessing. Because you'll see that where 2 had a positive report, said, wait a minute, this is the land that God promised us. But 10 other ones said, wait a minute, they're too big for us. The giants are too big. They can devour us. But God is saying to us today, that if you want to be motivated, that this land is yours. And tonight, Javen, Pastor, you got to understand this, that those that are saying they want to get motivated, they got to understand the promise. The promise is that the land is yours.
It's yours.
So then he came in, he said that I will give you possession. He spoke it to Abraham, and he said, Abraham, stand up on this hill, get up on this mountaintop. And as far as your eye can see, as the sand of the sea, it belongs to you. And there's somebody that's saying, okay, I'm listening to you, but I need what you guys have. But it's in them. Because the Bible tells us in 1 John 4:4, it says, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world.
We are no different than you. I can't stress that enough. I can't stress that enough. Nobody looks like what they've been through, by the way.
I mean, if you had to look at my life and to start peeling back the scales of what I've been through, I would be bloody, blistered, and beaten. You know what I'm telling you? And so to look at the things that we have endured in our life, the hills that we were able to climb, the valleys that we were able to go in, but God still brought us out.
So the blessing is not in what you've gone through. The blessing is in how you go through it. The scars that you have is not in the fact that you got hurt. The scars that you have is a testament to show that if God did it before, he'll do it again, that you can survive. When you see people have a scar, I have a huge scar on my left shoulder now because of a surgery that I never had that scar there before. I'm thinking I got to get a tattoo or something, amen, to cover it up. So now I got this scar. I'm not used to having scars, but now that scar is there and it's healed.
But it's a constant reminder of what you've been through.
Of what I've been through, and more so, what I've been able to survive. So maybe a word for somebody tonight is that God has given you those scars to remind you that you have come through so many things and you are a survivor. You are a champion, that you are a winner, that you are above and not beneath, that you are the head and not the tail, you are the lender and not the borrower. Like Pastor Calvin just said, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And you're not just a conqueror, but my God, you are more than a conqueror.
We talked about Abraham. Abraham led all the way down to Moses, and God used Moses to deliver the people out of Egypt. Well, you see that from Moses, it transitioned to Joshua.
Yeah.
But the word still goes all the way back from what God spoke to Abraham. You may be going through a season in your life and you're saying, God, when is my season? But you'll see that it started from Abraham, it went down to Isaac, it went to Jacob, and then it went on to Joseph, but then it follows it all the way down to when we get to Joseph at the point that I'm going to make. And you see Joseph now, at a little boy, he went in and said, this is the land that God promised us. But at that moment, God did not give them the land.
Wow.
You'll see that in the 10th chapter of Joshua, you'll read where they marched around Jericho. Still, it wasn't theirs, but they held on to a promise. If you want to be motivated, you hold on to the promise that God has given you. And God spoke a word all the way back from the beginning of time. And he told Abraham, as far as your eyes can see, I'm going to give you the land. They believed that. They marched around the walls of Jericho. It seemed like nothing was going to happen. It seemed like that they were wasting their time. But on the seventh day, the seventh march around the city, the walls came down. Now you fast forward to the 21st chapter of Joshua, and you'll see at the 43rd verse, he says to them, he says that the land that I have promised your fathers, the land that I have promised your fathers, go and possess it. The land is yours. And what I want somebody to understand as you're listening and you're watching us now, that the land is yours. The promise has already been spoken. Now you just got to go and get it. So somebody who's saying, I believe it and how can I get it, is yours. Just reach out and grab it.